All right. Hey, everybody. Dustin Pasalacqua, Chris Wendt, and Sam Wesolowski. All right. So you're probably all wondering why we're watching this video right now. Well, we're going to talk about some really exciting stuff in regards to Project NICU and some of the local charity that we have going on, right? And we're here with Chris Wendt to kind of pick his brain as he is the mastermind behind getting everything going. And this is not the only charity that he's helped participate and run. Right. So this is going to be a couple that he's involved with, maybe more than two. But, today I want to focus on Project NICU. But before we even get into anything, Chris, Sam and I just kind of want to pick your brain about, how everything started. But how did we even get in touch with you? I think it was Bankers Cup, a golf outing a couple of years ago.
Yeah, it was the golf outing. I want to say two years ago. You guys came out to the Bankers Cup Golf Invitational, which is really where it all started.
Yeah, it was. And honestly, though, Sam can probably attest to this. We're guilty of it. We're thinking, we get invited to a Bankers Cup to golf all day. Well, when you have agents, you have loan officers, you've got Bloody Marys in the morning, and then you've got a ton of water and people that are helping out on the course. It turns out to be a super fun day. But, we always, I think, looked at it from we get this day off, right? But there's a bigger meaning behind it. And, you really hit to the heart with, Sam and I. But Chris, why don't you tell us a little, before we get into Project NICU, why don't you talk a little bit about the Bankers Cup? What is it, like St. Jude's, right?
No. So the Bankers Cup Golf Invitational benefits the Boys and Girls Clubs of Cleveland.
There you go. Okay.
I did do a lot of work with St. Jude, with their golf outing with Cleveland Custom Homes. I've done some stuff with Russell Real Estate and their Make-A-Wish Foundation golf outing, which is absolutely ginormous. And that was really where it was with them where I kind of got, my first taste for all of this stuff. It was amazing. Such a cool feeling. Working with all those rock stars over there, it was awesome and kind of intoxicating.
Awesome. Why do you honestly, why do you do what you do, man? Why did you even start these charities, man? Honestly.
So yeah. So like I said, it's kind of trifold. I started working, really closely with Russell Real Estate, maybe 10 years ago, 10 or 11 years ago. They're absolutely amazing partners. And I saw what they were doing on their golf outing. They have an annual golf outing every year, and it's huge. And it kind of piqued my interest. I really wanted to get involved with it. So I'd asked them, one year, and their board was full, and they really didn't need any help because the thing was on rails. Well, the next year they invited me, in to sit with them and bounce some ideas off of them. And we were able to tweak the event a little bit, and it raised a ton of money, and it was really fun working with these guys. It's outside the box. We're not talking about survey work. We're not talking about, selling houses. We're not talking about loans. We were just talking about, bringing people together and raising money. So working with them, like I said before, was really where I got my first taste of, this other part of our industry, which was, the charitable side of it. And it was maybe 2 or 3 years after, I started with, working on Russell's outing that, I just kind of had this thought, I wanted to continue raising money because, why not? We work in an incredible industry, with a lot of very, very fortunate and very generous individuals. So why not try to put something together to bring everybody together in one room and see if we can make anything of it. And I had this thought, there's within our industry, there are a lot of golf outings, but they're all the same, 4-man scramble, which for somebody like me is really fun. But, I wanted to kind of think outside the box a little bit and do something unique. And for me, being a surveyor, we like to joke around that we're low men on the totem pole, the ultimate bottom feeders within our industry.
Okay. Pretty sure that you're very, very rare And it's really tough to find a good surveying company. I can tell you, I can attest to this, purchases, especially when that title company likes to order it like a week or two before closing.
Sure.
And then you got to scramble, and then the surveyor doesn't want to show up. But now your stuff's always been clutch, any type of transaction I've been involved in. So yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, man. Go ahead.
No, hey, I appreciate that. Thank you very much for saying that. But I wanted to do something, unique. I'm not a real estate brokerage, so it's not easy for me to call on people and say, hey, I'm going to have an outing. I'm not a bank. So for me to, kind of go after and rally the troops and bring everybody in for an event, it has to be different. It has to be unique, and it has to have, some sort of a value to it. So again, I wanted to do something different. B, I wanted to make sure that the right people were there. So I decided to put the top two rungs of our industry head to head in a 2-man best ball tournament. It was nothing but lenders versus real estate agents. And I set it up in kind of a match play form, or I set it up in matches, Ryder Cup style, set up in matches. It initially started out, it was such a gong show. It was a 2-day event, an 18-hole qualifier, and then we went to a 27-hole tournament after that, and it just became too much. But it was really cool in the sense that the lenders and the agents were forced to golf against one another, for 9 holes, and then you come in after 9 holes and they switch. So for the agents and the lenders, it was really cool because you're golfing with people that you might not otherwise golf with. And you didn't really have a choice because I set up the matches. Well, at least the pro in our club did. And I did my best to handicap it. So the matches were even. And then we go into a shootout afterwards, and it's hilarious. And, the idea of it kind of, caught on and snowballed. And I think it was the fact that it was so unique. And we brought so many big players in the industry together. And of course, it was to raise money for the Boys and Girls Clubs of Cleveland, which is an awesome cause. They do.
One second, I don't want to cut you off. Can you tell everybody what the Boys and Girls Club in Cleveland is? I don't know if it, honest to God, I don't really know what it's about. I will be the first to tell you. And I don't know if some other people, would you mind kind of shedding some light on that?
Yeah. So it's, the nutshell version is it's very simple. They have a place for, I guess you can say, underprivileged kids to go to after school, before school, to kind of hang out, get involved in programs. At this point, they even have their own, they even have their own sports teams. It's really cool. I ended up going in there year one and touring the facility when I went to deliver the check, and I was blown away. The building it's not in the greatest part of Cleveland, but it was huge. And the stuff that they have set up for these kids, and I mean kids of all ages, from elementary school, through high school. It's really cool because a lot of these kids, if they didn't have this place to go to, who knows what's going to happen? You know what I mean? So they're really, kind of, building a means to help these kids succeed. For instance, Denzel Washington was, he was brought up to the Boys and Girls Club. I didn't know that until, I started talking to, the one director about it. I didn't know that. Oh, dude, it's so cool. It is so cool what they do. They have a music studio. They're like I said, the volleyball courts, soccer. You name it, they're doing it. They're also teaching kids and just helping them, to achieve whatever it is they want to achieve. So it's such a cool thing. However, they keep the lights on with donations. Without the donations, it doesn't exist. So yeah, I had a conversation with a friend of mine, and I said, hey, I'm putting this thing together. I need a worthy cause to send the money to. I said, but I want to make sure that the money is actually spent for the purpose that it's obviously being given to them for. And he told me, hey, the Boys and Girls Club is phenomenal. The amount of money that comes in that they use for the right purposes, it's like 98%. So it's not like they have giant salaries and this and that. It's the real deal. So I was hooked. And that was where the golf started. And honestly, that's where the golf continues to support.
Yeah, it's awesome. I know we love the golf. Like we were saying before, that's awesome. What I will say is we didn't know a ton about the whole Bankers Cup hockey thing. That's what we're talking about today. I know when I first saw it advertised and, saw you promoting it, I was like, I've never played hockey before. I'm not a hockey player. It's probably not for me. But I've learned, after talking with you and, kind of learning about what the cause is for and, what the event's really about, that it's for more than just people who are hockey players. It can be fun for everybody. So, tell us a little bit about, what the event's going to look like, of course, talk about the cause with Project NICU. What does the event look like? Can you have spectators? Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I grew up playing hockey. I played for 20 years. It was my life for quite a long time. And it was probably 3 years after the Bankers Cup Golf Invitational had taken off that I thought, what I really want to do something else as well. Another event, and to kind of lean on my passion for hockey and put together. I asked a few people, I said, hey, you think we can do a real estate industry hockey game? And everybody said, yeah, probably not. I said, great, I'm in. So I went all in on it. And, I put out some emails, I called some people, I did a couple of posts. And it turns out that, we have quite a few hockey players within our industry that had either played in the past at a very, competitive level, or still played, to this day in various men's leagues and whatnot. So, the conversation started, hey, what do you think about doing a real estate industry hockey game set up similar to Bankers Cup? The players, early on said, this sounds like it'd be fun. So I took it, one step further. I grabbed a panel of, I think my initial meeting that I had was maybe 10 people, and just friends of ours, right, within the industry. And I said, hey, here's what I'm looking at doing. What I would like to know is if anybody has any good charitable options. We've got the Boys and Girls Club covered. Russell Real Estate does the Make-A-Wish Foundation. I was working on the St. Jude and Cleveland Custom Homes outing for the St. Jude Dream Home with Sarah. So I didn't want to compete with any of those. I wanted a different, charity altogether. And Sue Sassaville said, hey, how about Project NICU? And what I told him was, my only stipulation was that it had to benefit kids. I just want to make sure that the money goes to kids. And Sue started talking about her cousin, Pam Frasco, who had founded this 501c3 called Project NICU. Then she started talking about that, and I said, sold, let's go. It sounded so awesome. And, as it turns out, at that meeting, there were a couple of people within our industry that had a couple experiences, personally with the NICU. So they knew what it was all about. So it really hit home for them. Come to find out, there are quite a few people in our industry that have had to go down that road and live that life, for whether it was a week, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, whatever the case may be. So Project NICU seemed like a really good fit. And then, you start learning about everything that they do. There are five NICUs that they support in Northeast Ohio, various hospitals. They have, it is so involved in what they do. It's not just raising money for, the NICU staff. It's more of, it's, I guess you can kind of say it's kind of like a culture. I mean, they're raising money for the families, not only while they're there, but after the fact. They have support groups set up for the families to come in and talk with one another and lean on each other after the fact. They bring in some very necessary supplies that, unless you were there, you probably wouldn't even understand how important they are. Hand sanitizer, socks, gloves for the babies. I mean, it's so involved in what they do, but I think the support part of it is, it's really kind of cool how big that support group is in that network, and exactly how far it goes after the fact.
Yeah. And I know you've grown this thing pretty big over the last few years. And, I know it was at OBM Arena last year. And, I know we got some big news this year as to, where you're holding it. And sounds like you got some big players who are kind of chipping in and helping you out. And talk a little bit about who's going to be partnering up with you on this, and, what's included in the ticket and things like that. I think all that stuff's pretty cool too.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah,
sure.
Chris, I don't want to cut you off, but I just want to let everybody know that, listen, Chris didn't reach out to them. They reached out to him. So this is how big this is. You have the players reaching out to you. right? This little peasant guy right on the totem pole. Yeah. Okay, well, let's talk about the big players and see how much of a peasant you are. Go ahead, bro.
So yeah, so it was funny. The concept kind of grew and got legs. Before you know it, I've got sponsors coming in. My initial thought was, to get very high-end jerseys and put our put companies branding on them like you would find in the European hockey. They brand everything. There's logos all over the place. So that's where it started. Instantly, I had what I called a major sponsorship. 5 sold out year one within, I'm not kidding, the first week, and they weren't cheap. And then I tried to, I had more people calling me because they wanted to get in on this on the sponsorship side. So I had to find new ways. I was creating sponsorships. It seemed like every few days. Before you know it, I was out of ideas. Everything, everybody was in. And it grew so big that I got a call from, the Monsters. And this thing fell on their radar. And this was not too long before the event was originally supposed to take place. And they asked me, hey, we see your event. Did you ever think about having this thing downtown? And I kind of laughed and said, no, I didn't, because it's a hockey game and I need ice, and there's no ice downtown. And it was funny. The woman goes, yeah, it's called the Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. And I'm like, oh, that ice. I didn't know that was an option. I didn't think so. So they asked me if I would have it downtown. It is as intriguing and grateful that I was that they even offered that. It was, I already signed the contract with OBM. OBM had, they put so much time and effort into this thing that I couldn't possibly, pull it out from under them. So we had the event at OBM. It was awesome. We put branding up on the boards for sponsors. The place looked great. And it was after the first game that the Monsters had ended up cornering me and they said, hey, this thing, you're going to do this again next year. Are we going to do this or what? Let's go downtown. And I said, great, let's do it. So I guess long story long, it is downtown at the Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse this year. So we are playing with the Cavs and with Monsters play. And you asked about some of the big players. I had a couple guys that, initially I thought it'd be funny to mix a couple pros in, but I didn't know where to start. Well, then I had some people calling me like, hey, mind if we get involved in your game? And I'm like, yeah, I don't mind. Let's go. So Jock Callender is playing again for the second year. He is the president of hockey operations for the Monsters. He also won a Stanley Cup. So really kind of cool, being able to skate with somebody like Jock. And then Brett Harkins also playing. He had a very long career in the NHL, played with Boston Bruins. He's a local guy, went to St. Ed's. So we've got Jock Callender, we've got Brett Harkins, a good friend of mine, Jacob Newton, is joining us again this year. He was, initially drafted by Anaheim, signed a 3-year contract with them, and then he went overseas and played, but he also played for the Monsters back in 2011. And we have Russ Sienkiewicz playing, former Monster as well. And he is also the founder of what's called the Ohio Hockey Project. So these guys all have big followings, in our area. They're kind of local celebrities, especially with as it relates to hockey. Stanley Cup champion, NHL experience. And these guys are, we put 2 on each side and they come out and skate with us. And as hard as it may be for them, they try to not make us look like idiots. But what are you going to do? I mean, they're good, we're not. So, but it's cool. We have a really good mix of guys out there, from the pros. We have a couple guys that play junior hockey, a couple guys that played, pretty high end college hockey, and then, down to high school level, and, a couple of guys that just go out and enjoy skating in men's leagues. So, you kind of see all levels out there trying to compete with one another. We do a draft, which is kind of nutty, in an attempt to keep with the Bankers Cup agent versus lender theme. I put an agent GM and a lending GM in place, and I have them draft the players one by one. That way one team isn't stacked. So it's really cool, from the draft to all of the branding, all over all the stuff, the pros playing with us, the arena downtown, the Monsters. I think you asked about, everything that they're kind of throwing at us this year. They took over the ticketing officially So they created a standalone ticket for the Bankers Cup. They're going through and utilizing their ticket broker. So it makes it seem like really, really legit. So SeatGeeks is handling, as they do with the Cavs and the Monsters, they're handling our tickets as well. But then they took it one step further and they decided to package in a Monsters game along with the Bankers Cup. So the Monsters play at 3:00 on March 13th. We play following their game, but you buy a Bankers Cup ticket for $25 and you have access to the Monsters game as well. So it's really cool. It's really, really cool the way that they've come in and, they've officially partnered up with us and everything that they're doing to, help raise money for this cause.
What about you? You had mentioned, I think when we spoke last time, you mentioned Project NICU is getting involved now. Tell everybody about that, man. They have, it's one thing for an organization, in my opinion, to take notice of what you're doing and just be thankful, which we know that the charity organizations are, that every one of them, but the fact that Project NICU came out and personally reached out to you, and they are, kind of stepping in. Why don't you give everybody kind of an idea what they're doing?
Yeah. So they're, like I said, they're amazing over there, with everything they do for the NICUs. And then, with this event as well, I talked to Pam a handful of weeks ago, and she asked, this year what they can do to, really kind of step in and help. It was a little bit of a gong show year one. It was canceled 3 times, had to reschedule for, due to COVID. So it was really kind of a cluster on, on a lot of levels. This year, it's going to be a lot different from the way it's organized. The Monsters backing us, and like you just said, Project NICU wants to come in and really have a helping hand in everything this year, soup to nuts. So from promotions to they're bringing a bunch of volunteers in as well, which is awesome for us. Because we're going to be selling raffle tickets. We've got a lot of cool stuff that's going to be up for grabs. And obviously, if you don't have people going around and trying to sell the tickets to the fans and making everybody aware, then the whole thing is going to flop. I mean, why even bring out, awesome prizes if you don't know how to sell them? So they have made it clear that they are there for anything and everything that we need. And it's not just selling the tickets. I mean, they really and truly want to step in and do whatever it is that we need them to do. We are still having conversations about it. We'll know a lot more as we get closer to the event. But Pam and her team are absolutely phenomenal over there. Fortunately, they're very familiar with the Monsters organization and the Cavs organization and the field house altogether, because Pam works for the Monsters and the Cavs. So it's really kind of cool that, you have that familiarity on their end and then the willingness to help. So
where do you think this thing's headed? I mean, honestly, I don't know if you've ever imagined, growing this big. I'm sure you have, man, because you have some big visions, right? And it couldn't have grown without your vision, right? But where do you see this thing really going? Yeah,
I mean, it's big ambitions, big visions, that's one thing, but if they're not legitimate, they're not really going anywhere. I got to tell you, man, this thing started as a joke. And I had no idea that it was going to do this. I mean, I expected, 15 guys renting a sheet of ice and just going out and dicking around and having fun. And it just kind of snowballed on me. So that's really where I started thinking, like, holy cow, we may be onto something here. I've had people reach out to me. I've had agents reach out to me to see if I would do this in various areas in their states. Michigan, Florida. I had a guy reach out to me last year to see if I would do this in Texas. So I think the sky's the limit really for this thing. As far as where it can go, I don't think there's any stopping it at this point. I mean, really, it's on rails. The biggest thing is A, raising awareness for whatever charity we're trying to raise money for, and B, promoting the event and making sure that it's out there and everybody knows about it. Because once that happens, this thing is so unique and so off the wall. I mean, who grabs a bunch of people from the real estate industry and throws them on skates and says, "Hey, go compete"? I do, yeah. And who wouldn't want to see that? So, Sam, you asked about spectators. That was one of the things that I really had in mind with the hockey. Golf was cool. It was successful. It still is, but you can't watch it. It's not like you can have spectators come in unless they're golfing, right? So I wanted to put something together where we could legitimately sell tickets to our industry and have people come in and watch this thing kind of unfold. So, it was really kind of hitting on all, firing on all cylinders. We've got the sponsors, we've got the players, and then we're selling, these tickets. Like, I mean, it was ridiculous. So same thing this year. Spectators, it's kid friendly. The monsters are probably, well, I don't want to speak out of turn, until I have confirmation. Last year, they were going to have the cheerleaders and Sully, the mascot, there. And they were going to do face painting and a bunch of stuff. And all of that was shut down because of COVID, understandably so. So we're working with them this year to see exactly, what will be brought to the table in addition to just, the use of the arena. They gave us concession stands. We've got sponsors for concession stands, which allowed us to open those up. We've got the Fahrenheit bar area, at our disposal. So that's where we're going to be hanging out after the game. But it's a very family friendly, kid friendly type of environment. It's not the typical real estate, absolute, it just utter mayhem. It's dialed back a little bit. So yeah, bring your families out. My kids are going to be there. We actually had quite a few kids in the stands last year. So it was really cool. It was really cool. And a lot of people, like I said before, want to watch Jock and Brett and Jake and Russ play hockey. So
real quick, man. So you started this as a joke, right? It was like a joke, like this is not going to go, right? What did you raise the first year? What have you raised most recently? Everybody needs to know this, because honestly, everybody, this came from just a thought, right? Which is where every great idea or every great thing happens. It's a thought. There was no charities in the beginning. Everybody had to think of them, right?
Yeah.
When you had that vision, tell everybody how impactful money-wise you've been able to give back to Project NICU.
Yeah. So year one, even with all of the issues that we had, we raised just over 15,000 for them. And I got to tell you, man, my target was just being in the black, which I wasn't for quite a long time, because this is an expensive event to put on. All I wanted to do was break even and be able to give a little bit. So my target realistically was $2,500, and I didn't think there was a snowball's chance in hell that I was going to come anywhere near that.
Yeah.
And it was the day after the event, when I was adding up, the cash that came in from the raffles and going through the deposits, and everything that was paid out. And it was 15,168, I believe. 15,1. And it blew my mind. Like, you've got to be kidding me. So I made a couple calls to some of the people, and they're like, no, that's not right. And I'm like, listen, I've added it up 15 times. There's $15,000 left over. Like, that's what's going. So 100% of the proceeds go to the charity. Literally 100%. So we've got a handful of events that happen. The sponsorship money comes in, we pay the bills, and then whatever's left over after the cash goes in from event day itself, I wipe out the account in its entirety, wipe it out, boom, and then we start from scratch with the next event. So yeah, just a little over 15,1 is what was in the account, and it was awesome. Nobody saw that coming.
No, it's like you wake up one day and you're like, hey, here's $15,000. I was a part of organizing this. And what I love about this, Chris, I know that you're a little bashful when it comes to these things, but I know that you don't like to take credit, man. And I'm not sure inside of you who you give credit to. Like I said, that's something that's going to be between yourself and whomever. But at the end of the day, man, you're doing something that I don't see anybody else doing. And you really struck a nerve with Sam and myself, and I'm sure Sam could attest to this. And I approached you. I'm like, hey, man, like, I see this awesome thing that you're doing, and like, how can we give back to the community, right? How can we do something like you? So you're kind of a mentor for us, right? So you're a role model, man. So I want to be, and I'm pretty sure Sam wants to be just like you and give back, right? What better way that you feel good? You feel good about doing something, right? So we approached you and we're like, hey, man, what do we got to do to help? Like, I'll bring my family in. Like, I got my wife, daughter, you name it. Sam, him, his girl, you name it, man, because at the end of the day, my daughter's a little over 3, and we had a really big scare. She was born premature, and
There you go.
Her heartbeat stopped breathing. She stopped breathing, and they kicked me out of the room, and they allowed me back in there. And honestly, when she was born, I started crying, and I honestly could not think of anything else in the world that's more important to me. And to know that, and I'm gonna tear up, man, when I'm talking. This beats me up. Like, any parent that's got to go through any of that, I don't know how they do it, man. And
it's amazing, man. It's
it's
absolutely
bad, man. It's like
I have
their strength.
Yeah, I have 2 daughters, and I think I told you guys when we had that lunch. Project NICU was something that I was very naive to, and I think a lot of people are, unless you have to fill those shoes for however long. We were fortunate; we didn't have to. But then you start hearing the stories like yours, and so many other people in our industry, and that's really where it kind of clicks, and where it really hits home. Just because you haven't necessarily had to live it doesn't mean you can't do whatever you can to try to help. It's, I don't know, it's really cool. Like I said, our industry is phenomenal. We have so many fortunate, so many generous people. It really doesn't take much to get these guys to rally together for a good cause, and it's awesome to see. It's awesome to see. It's a great feeling being a part of it. And it's really cool watching these things take off, and all for the absolute right reasons. And I think that's kind of the best part, is it's all for the right reasons. So but yeah, I mean, your story is absolutely spot on.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. So, I mean, overall, I think the whole reason we kind of wanted to do this is just because, like I said, not a lot of people know about it, or I'm sorry, a lot of people know about it, but not a lot of people know the specifics. And we need as many people to go as we can. So, I wanted everybody to get a good understanding as to, can you be a spectator if you suck at hockey? Can you still go? Is it for your family? And you filled all of us in on that. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, and it's funny. That's probably something that I should have from day one done a much better job of kind of of talking about. When I send this thing out to a lot of people, the response is it's so typical. It's always the same. Yeah, hey, I don't know how to skate, so this event's not for me. And I kind of feel funny, like, with my response, and I'm always like, yeah, I don't want you to skate. I know you suck at hockey. You're not invited to play because you'll die. I just want you to go and network.
I mean, you did it to me, man. You did it to me. I blew you off last year, and I blew you off this year. I'm like, you know what? He sets me the fire again. I'm like, I suck at hockey. I mean, I don't want to go to any sporting event. If it's not golf, I don't want to deal with it. And then I'm like, you know what? Let me make a call, Matt. All right, Chris, tell me about this, man. And it turned into, honestly, like, you can tell everybody, like, I approached you, like, Sam and I, we want to do an event. We are going to do an event. It's just a matter of when are we going to do it? What are we going to do?
Yeah.
But it's happening. And once again, man, I just truly appreciate you, man, doing this, man, because I don't see anybody else doing this. And the fact that Sam and I get to be a part of something that's so monumental, and it's somewhat still in the beginning phases, because I know this thing's going to blow up. Like, you're going to pack that arena 5 years or less. You're going to pack that arena. You might even do it next year with all the publicity you're getting in. It all started with you, man. So be proud of yourself.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah. And hey, can you tell everybody once again, where can they get tickets? Give them, like I said, give them a rundown of the event, where they can get tickets. Once again, please, before we let you go.
Yeah. So there is a ticket link that we can post. It's on the Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse webpage. You just do a search for, Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse /Bankers Cup. That might actually be wrong, but if you go onto their website and search for the Bankers Cup, that will pull it up. There's a 3:00 Monsters game. We play afterwards. You buy one ticket, you have access to both games. The Monsters game, when you buy a seat for the Monsters game, you obviously have an assigned seat, as you would with any game that you buy a ticket to. But then Bankers Cup is open seating. So you're not going, you don't have to sit in whatever seat you purchase. You can sit wherever you want. You can move around. You can have some fun. You know, like I said, it's all about networking. So, but yeah, the tickets, I will post the link to the specific ticket link, you know, once we go live with this. And yeah, the game is March 13th. It's on a Sunday. This is going to be our first crack at a weekend real estate industry event. So
What time is it? What time is it?
we'll be on the ice about 6:30. So the Monsters game is at 3. You know, last year what we did is we said puck drop at 7. I think I'm going to try to make it a little bit earlier than 7 this year because it's such a long game. But it doesn't seem like it's long. I mean, these things fly by. So, but yeah, the doors will open. Doors will open at, well, 3 o'clock. And then as long as you have a ticket, you can come in whenever. You don't have to go to the Monsters game if you don't want to. You know, we will have a specific entrance, which that information I will also get out to everybody. You know, we're still going back and forth as to exactly which specific entrance we'll have designated for the Bankers Cup. You know, we're going to have places to take pictures. You know, the pros that play with us are always cool. So they're willing to sign autographs. They're doing whatever, you know, whatever we need them to do. I mean, these guys are just, they're all such class acts. You know, I honestly couldn't be happier that this thing is kind of working out the way it is.
Well, you're their hero, man, because they reached out to you and they're doing things for you. So you gotta be awesome. Yeah, and everybody, come on, man. Listen, Super Bowl started yesterday at 6:30. So if everybody can stay up for the Super Bowl, the most viewed program in the US, I'm pretty sure that you can either make it to the Monsters game in the Bankers Cup, or hey, it's $25 to make a difference in somebody's life. You don't know who it's going to be, right? But I'm telling you right now, I don't know, if you don't have $25 to donate, then there's something wrong with you. And I'm going to guilt market the heck out of this. If you can't donate, you're probably a bad person. All right. And if you can't, reach out to me. Okay. If you don't have the money, reach out to me and I'll donate the $25 for you. Because you know, you can't put a price on life, man. You really can't.
I did set up on Eventbrite. I had to shut down the ticket link on Eventbrite, but I did put up a donation, donation link on Eventbrite.
You put that link in there too with the game link for everybody too? Okay.
I will. I absolutely will. Yeah. Yep. So we'll have the ticket link. We'll have the link to donate. Again, 100% of the proceeds will go to Project NICU. We can also put a link to their website. They're phenomenal. You know, Pam Frasco had a you know, personal experience with the NICU, which is how this whole thing started. She saw a need. She's filling that need. We're helping support it. I mean, it's really that simple. And like you said, just think of the number of people that, you know, that are being helped here. So
touching, man. Just seriously, love and touch, man. That's all it takes, man. Honestly. Okay, awesome. I mean, hey, Sam, Chris, is there anything else that you guys wanted to touch base on?
Oh, man, thank you, Chris. Appreciate it, brother.
Yeah, no, guys, thank you. I'm absolutely thrilled that you both reached out, and you know, the fact that you're getting involved means absolutely everything. So whatever you guys need from me, you let me know. I'm very appreciative.
All right, man, we're going. You know, all 4 force, man. We're going for it. Let's do it.
I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. I love it.
All right, gentlemen. Hey, man, you guys take care. All right.
Thanks for the time, fellas. Really appreciate it. We'll talk soon.